many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Today is my day.
Hi, and welcome to Talk Up Your Biz. I'm Jean-Noel Bassior with my co-host here,
Susan Levin.
We've got a great show planned for you today. We have two amazing guests. One is Ava Nemeth. I hope I said that right. And the other is Marianne Emma Jeff. And Ava is a fitness a physical therapist, a fitness expert, and she has been an acclaimed gymnast. And she is going to teach us how everyday actions, how we can do everyday actions without really messing up our body and throwing our back out and all that stuff that we don't want to do. And Marianne has a great center for women who are in business for themselves, and she teaches you everything you need to know about just making sure you start your business on the right foot and create it successfully every step of the way. So she's going to be with us in our second segment. So Susan, what is happening in speaker news?
Oh, there's lots of speaker news and author news too. This past week we put out queries for the Book Beat, which is our show that comes on following this show at 6:30 Pacific. And we were a little challenged finding authors, and then they started finding us. And I love the queries that we were beginning to get. We found people who were media savvy, which we want, and they were ranged from a young man who wrote a book for yoga and self-empowerment for kids to an 89-year-old woman that some of you may recognize the name. I didn't, but you did. Dorothy Dale Kloss. And she's written a book at 89. And her publicist called me or wrote to me and said to me, I have a great person for you to be on the show. And her book is called I'm Not in Kansas Anymore. Love, Dorothy. And she has a short video that I looked at that was so amazing. She looks like she's about 40 years old.
She was a dancer, if I have this right, because the way I heard of her in the Palm Springs Follies, right?
Still is.
And still is, right? Which is amazing. I have never seen it, but I've heard so much about it. You know, it's people in their 80s, 90s, and
right.
You know, who's been in showbiz for a long time, and they're still doing it, and she's one of them.
Yeah, and so we're going to have her on the Book Beat in July, and I asked her publicist, his name is Ken, I said, can she come into town because she lives in Palm Springs? He said, absolutely, no worries, she drives, no problem. And then our friend Ava, who's on the show today, had me talk with a friend of hers who wrote a book called, what is it, Sugarless Plum, and she was a ballet dancer and found out that she had diabetes, and she was able to manage the diabetes, continue to dance, and talks to all different kinds of groups about diabetes and so on, and that you can do anything you want to do, you just have to learn how to do it. So we'll be looking forward to talking to her. So it's kind of exciting seeing all these inquiries coming in for the Book Beat. And, you know, for those of you who are interested in learning more about how to take your message to the media, we've been mentioning this the last couple of weeks. We have a free teleclass on June 26th that Jean-Noel and I are offering to show you the different ways that the publishers and what else?
Well, if you want to,
you're going to say
if you want to get on a show like this, the hosts expect you to be prepared, and so there's certain things that you need,
right,
and certain things that you might want to think about in advance, and most of them have to do with focusing. And then along with that, you need certain materials, right? Now you don't need everything all at once, because it can be a full-time job to do your own publicity. And I mean, we all have that problem. We all realize that. I mean, you know, even if you're with a mainstream publisher, after the 2-week kind of honeymoon period, pretty much you're on your own, unless you are an A-list celebrity. So what we do is show people like how to get things like one sheets together, right? And
Right, and for as an author or as a speaker,
right.
right, and how to put your questions together. How do you think we figure out these questions that we're when we're interviewing people? We read the copy that you send to us, the queries, and then we ask the author or the speaker for questions, and then sometimes we use them, sometimes
Well,
we
and that's
don't.
the thing. A lot of times hosts don't follow the questions, but what the
Right.
questions do is they allow you to focus. Because in this brave new self-published world, and sometimes in mainstream as well, the kind of questions you'll get, that we will get as hosts is, so how did you begin to think about writing this book? And that's not a bad question. I mean, why did you write the book is always a good question, but it's not always the best question to start an interview with.
So what's a good question?
Well, it depends on the subject. For example, sometimes we've had a guest come in and they'll say there was an accident that changed their lives, and that's what led to, them developing this amazing product or writing this book or,
Right.
getting a new perspective on, some area of their life or stopping drinking. But it's not, the question would not be like, well, how did you stop drinking? The question would be like, how did the accident change your life and what impact did that have? That's at least where I would start.
That's a good tip.
Coming from mainstream.
That's a good tip.
Right. So you put the questions together, but my advice would be they're a focusing mechanism. As long as you know what they are, you're going to be fine. The host may not follow your list or do them in order. For example, I've got questions here.
Right.
I'm going to skip around.
Yeah, and today I spoke.
I see our first guest panicking.
This is funny because today I had a talk with our friend Gail Murphy, who wrote the book Interview Tactics, and we were talking about this, and she said to me, it's so true that people don't have their questions together, and the host doesn't even look at the questions.
No, we don't.
And she said she was at a shoot or at a TV show, and the author was already sitting there, and the host had 1 minute left, and he said, "What's the book about?" And it's like, hello. You know.
I mean, and Phil Donahue, who was a talk show host that was very famous, used to be a couple of decades ago, he used to say that he would watch talk show hosts and they'd be interviewing somebody and the guest, this often happens, the guest will say something really interesting. And if you're too focused on your questions, you're going to let it go by. I mean, my great example is Geraldo Rivera, where I was on assignment for Woman's World magazine, and I was supposed to interview him about his new wife, his latest wife, and how that was going.
That time,
and,
is he still with the same one?
I think he is. I think it was like wife number 3, whatever.
Yeah.
I like Geraldo. He's a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
And we happened to be talking, and he was talking about being in the war zone in Cambodia and how he thought of maybe committing suicide on camera. And it was a bad moment. He was in a depression and whatever it was for him. So I didn't want to let that go by. And I've seen amazing things go by that people say, and the host is kind of like so focused on what, comes next. So Phil Donahue said, you can watch the host. And you may see this during this program if we space out, but you can watch the host sort of miss some of these things. Now sometimes we deliberately do it. We don't, always. We may want to steer the interview, like you say, back to the book, but you don't want to miss moments like that.
I'm going to steer us back to the fact that this is a free teleclass and it's June 26th. So all you have to do is go to speakerservices.com. On my home page, on the left-hand side of the page, you are going to see complimentary teleclass. And all you have to do is sign up and the number will be given to you. We will answer your questions, we will give you advice, and we will make suggestions. And if you think you want to be on a show like this or the Book Beat, then you need to listen in and maybe get some coaching from us because we're good coaches. Our people are great. I want to say that for sure. And there's another thing that you'll see on that side of the page. We have a speakers community where I interview 2 experts each month in a teleclass format over the telephone. And the next one's June 12th. And I'm having a woman named Deborah Durham who talks about, so you want to be a spokesperson? And that was a question that people had asked me for years, and I didn't know anybody who could help people become spokespeople. And you, as experts, entrepreneurs, authors, speakers, you could be a spokesperson. It's not just about going out, it's not, what is it? It's not flat line just going out and speaking to groups. There are so many different ways that you can present your material. And perhaps you could be a spokesperson, like the Zipporah, who we were talking about, Ava's friend, was a spokesperson for diabetes for a long time, and you get paid for that. And that's a good thing. So that's June 12th. And I'm going to put in one more plug. Those of you who want to learn about how to market yourself as a speaker, I teach a class every 2 to 3 months called Market Yourself as a Speaker. It's coming up this Thursday. It's a 2-part teleclass series. It's about the business of speaking. You hear us talking about it all the time. Just don't step out without having any knowledge. You need to have the business side behind you as well. And I talk all about that. So that's all on Speaker Services on the left-hand side of the page. So what else do we want to talk about today? I saw a post by a man named Jonathan Bender. And this came through on I have a group on LinkedIn called Speaker Services. And it's called, What are the Public Speaking Must-Haves? And he says that for many, being an effective speaker is a mystery. For others, they feel fairly comfortable and think that's all that they need. That's what I was talking about, you guys. Since speaking is the best way to get known as an expert and build your business, it's important to know how it works. So he's a 17-year veteran of coaching people in public speaking, and he has 3 levels of core strengths.
Right. Well, he gives a bunch of tips, but the one that I really like here, this is like getting a glimpse into what meeting planners talk about, or what they really want, because this is really directed towards meeting planners as I saw it. And you're doing the one. Oh yeah,
That's,
we're
talking about
the Bender post. One. Yeah, you're right. Okay. You're right.
That's okay.
Oh, I had the first one. That one.
Yeah, that's
okay.
going to be next.
Okay. Well, that one, I honestly, I looked at that one. I'm going to let you talk more about that because
you didn't resonate with it?
I didn't. Yeah, that didn't.
Okay. Yeah. Well, okay, fine.
Go ahead.
So this is what just a few things that I want to say about it. He has 3 different levels. And level 1 is to have strong content. And I think it's one of the most important things. And he's saying it's essential to know how to put together a great presentation, how to grab their attention at the beginning and keep your audience members engaged. And that's how you have to know how to put your talk together, and then to feel comfortable in front of the audience, and then to have the connection and the presence. And I call that the 3 C's, or Jack, our Barnard, who's a team member and coach, a speaking coach, calls it comfort, charisma. No, charisma and comfort are the same. Content, connection, and charisma.
Did you find many hows in that article? That's why I didn't resonate with it. I mean, I know you're supposed to be comfortable with the audience, but I didn't get.
He was just putting out some tips, to give people an overview, and then they have to go to him.
I see.
To learn how to do it. You see. But let's talk about the 5 tips for hiring a great speaker.
Right, that's the one I really liked.
I know that's the one that you wanted to talk about.
Because he had a great tip. There were 2 that I really liked here. One was, he was telling meeting planners that if a new speaker contacts you, somebody that you've never heard of before,
right,
and they have a video, he said, start to do some kind of work that you don't really want to do, maybe some boring work, and put their video on in the background and see if their video can pull you away from what you're doing. And I thought that was a great tip. It's like he was saying, can that speaker grab your attention? I thought that was
important.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, because when you're working with a meeting planner or a speakers bureau, they want to see your video. And it's not usually a 1-camera shoot. They want to see you in front of an audience. And it has to be dynamic, otherwise you're going to fall flat and you're not going to command the fee. And talking about fee, he also says know your budget. Speakers come in a wide variety of fees. And if you're working with a meeting planner, again, with a bureau, they take 30%. Mm-hmm. So, there's different ways to work with people, and they take a commission from you.
Well, speaking of fees in the news today, as the IRS kind of scandal unfolds, they talked about a $4 million conference that was held in Anaheim, IRS people. And you know how much
they were dancing? Were they doing line dancing?
And they had a speaker. and the
Oh, I
speaker
didn't see that
was
part.
teaching them art, like I don't know how to draw a 1040 form or something like that,
Oh
or
my
how to
God.
draw an audit. It wasn't really clear. But how much do you think that speaker got?
25,000?
That's close. A little bit
Really?
lower. A little bit lower.
20,000?
17.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's outrageous.
Your tax dollars at work.
Yeah, that is a big scandal. Where is the money going to? Who do they know?
Well,
know,
yeah.
and
So
who's paying for it? Us.
it's a good gig if you're a speaker. I mean,
Did you see them doing the line dancing? It was in a
I
video.
haven't seen that video
Yeah,
yet.
that's what they were talking about also. That's
Yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah. So another tip that I liked from that story was ask each speaker. This is for the meeting planner now. So the meeting planner, if it's
Explain
supposed
what
to,
a meeting planner is. Maybe people don't know. I'm
or
just wondering.
an event plan, the person who
Yeah.
actually books the speakers for the event, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, good point. So they're telling these meeting planners, ask a prospective speaker to write a one-page overview of why they will be a great fit for this event.
Right.
And isn't that a good one?
That's really good because that's what we teach in Market Yourself as a Speaker, or we work with people individually. They're called one sheets. And if you're an author, you get a double-sided one sheet, and it has 7 different parts to it. And it's a sales sheet. It gives a snapshot. Did you say that at one point, a snapshot
Not
or a
yet.
sales piece?
I usually say that for the one sheet.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah?
I think you came up with that
Oh, yeah?
expression. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not in here.
Yeah.
It's just a snapshot, and which is cool,
Mhm.
so that they can see who you've spoken for, what some of your testimonials are, what you speak about, a
Mhm.
great banner on it that tells who you are, what your branding is, and we've helped so many people with that.
Mhm.
And it's tricky to do, but we can get it down, especially if people already have a speaker listing with us. It makes it a lot easier because you've written the copy.
Right.
You know,
kind
for
of
them.
pour it into the one sheet copy. It's a
Yeah.
snapshot in words and graphics of
And graphics.
who you are and what you do.
Right, and that really, really helps.
Right.
Yeah. So you want to make sure that you see the video of the person, as Jean-Noel said first, because you have to see that they're connecting with the audience. And if they're not connecting with the audience and they're not charismatic, then they're probably not going to work for your audience either. So that comes back to that connection thing.
Right. I mean, that's optimum, but even if you're a speaker and you don't have that kind of maybe 3-camera video, you connecting with the audience, but I just love that tip, because even if you just are speaking and showing them, what you do, if you can pull that person, that meeting planner, away from their work, just by
Right.
the sound of your voice and what you're talking about, that's, to me, was a great,
Yes.
way to get hired.
Well, that's the news for today. We're
Yeah.
going to break now, and I just want to send a shout out to the Weathersby family. Our condolences on the loss of their beautiful angel son. He was 31 years old, and he passed away yesterday. May he rest in peace, and the angels, he's flying with the angels and dancing up there right now. So we'll be back in a few moments. In 2 minutes, don't go away. We'll have Ava Nemeth with us, and as Jean-Noel said, she's a physical therapist. She's my physical therapist, and I'm not going to say what I always say about her. She does a great job, and she's a wellness consultant, and she goes out and speaks to different organizations and companies and works with dancers and helps them, gives them great tips on how to be a better, have better movement in the workplace. So we'll be looking forward to talking to Ava, and you've been listening to Talk Up Your Biz only at latalklive.com.
'Cause I have a dream. True love is evergreen. I know it's not too late. Gonna grow some love today. Planting a seed to build a world closer to heaven. Planting a seed in my soul. Yeah, I'm watching it grow.
people? It's Jennifer Tapier from StarCam. You guys might know me from the red carpet, catching up with all the stars, but guess what? We're bringing the red carpet to the radio right out here on LA Talk Live. I'm going live Thursday nights at 6 p.m. We got hot topics, celebrities, and much more. We were featured on Chloe Lamar on E!, Howard Stern, T.I.'s Family Hustle. You know how we do. So check it out on Thursday nights, 6 p.m. All things Hollywood, everything celebrity. StarCam Radio?
StarCam Radio? StarCam Radio!
Oh yeah, follow us on Twitter at StarCam Radio.
Hi, this is Susie Pruden. And yes, you've seen me on Oprah, Good Morning America, and The Today Show. And I'm inviting you to join me every Monday from 3 to 4 for my new show, Mastermind Live. Join us as we introduce you to the new thought leaders of the world who will inspire you, support you, and guide you to your next level. So don't forget to tune into Mastermind Live exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Today is my day, a brand new beginning.
Welcome back. You're listening to LA Talk Live. Susan Levin and Jean-Noel with Talk Up Your Biz. And today we have Ava Nemeth with us. And let me introduce you to her. Ava has been a physical therapist, practitioner, and a wellness consultant for more than 30 years. She began her professional career as an internationally celebrated gymnast and later taught modern dance and rhythmic gymnastics. Today, her hands-on workshops, seminars, and speaking engagements have established her as one of the leading specialists in achieving physical and mental well-being. Welcome to you, Ava.
Thank you.
And look how straight she is sitting in this chair. I looked at you and I sat up straighter.
Well, the camera's on me. I have to. But before I would say anything, I just have to say the speaker services are great. I'm on their listings, and I got so many phone calls.
Really?
From all kinds of groups. And I have opportunities, and they wrote up this wonderful one page, this one sheet, what you have
Your
to
speaker
have.
listing.
And the speaker listing. So thank you very much for having me. Just
Oh, we're
to
so
start
happy
with.
that you're in the studio. Yesterday, when I saw Ava for an activity at my home, she started calling herself. What did you tell me? I wanted to call you an educator, a movement educator, because her business is called Ava Movement.
Well, I
And
don't
she
really
changed
like the boxes, the
Yeah.
labels, because those are really not telling too much. And this whole physical therapy and movement educator, and it's kind of suggesting to people you have to have pain or problems to have me on board.
Right.
But that's really not the case. So I like to call myself lately movement motivator,
Oh, that's good.
because I like to reach those, not only those who they need help because they have challenges, but I would like to reach those who they think they not moving well, or they don't have a chance because early on they been told you are clumsy, you have bad posture, or whatever reason. So I like to believe those people who they didn't have a chance after they work with me, they feel more empowered.
Well, I mean, a lot of it's so much about motivation, isn't it? I mean, with exercise, I mean,
Yes.
or movement, right? So
Well, also there is another thing which Ava movement, whatever that means. Ava is
You
my
should
name.
know.
it sounds good.
EVA, my branding person said, well, why don't you just call it Ava movement? EVA, energy, vision, action.
Oh.
What you do is giving people lots of energy
You have a
because
beautiful website.
you start to free up a lot of energy, not carrying your body the way how it was not meant to be. So that's using a lot of energy to compensating and sagging and not being able to
I better sit up
take,
straight.
charge and be in control. And you have to take actions. And if you know what to do, then it's not as scary as for most my feels like.
Well,
And you know what?
yeah.
Excuse me, I was
Go
just going to say one thing. When I go to work with Ava, she always puts on music for me, and we do movement to it. And you don't see that very often. It's mostly, I think, ballet music, right?
Well, it's
What is
music
it
which
that has?
as our composers Bartok and Kodály, you're probably familiar with them. They used to say the rhythm is in with you. So we have heart rhythm, we have biorhythm, our organs are pulsing, and the body learns the best when there is some structure. So that's important.
But we learn bad habits too, right? Because I noticed before we went on the air, you were demonstrating, I'm so glad you brought this with you, for example, something to prevent you from getting carpal tunnel syndrome, right? Do you want to show us?
Well, here is the thing. We move our body the way how we know to move it. We move our body the way how we feel about ourselves. We move our bodies as we been suggested by others, because lately in this wonderful modern society we're more concerned about the way how we look, not the way how we feel. So people have lots of stress and they tight up, they have to sit in a very inhuman environment all day long typing. So most of the carpal tunnel syndrome, for example, and this shoulder and neck tension and headaches is basically the result of that you not knowing your bodies. And then you try to wear the brace all day long, which is further weakening your muscles. So I like to tell to people a very simple thing. At night our bodies unfortunately is not resting as well as we would think it's resting. For example, when you're sleeping, your hand is all crunched up and squeezed, so it locks the blood circulation, it tenses up your muscles. So I tell to people, put a tennis ball in your hand, pull a socks over so you won't lose it, and just sleep like this.
A knee sock.
Any knee socks, socks. And this will give your optimal and neutral position for your hands. So at night, you're basically resting. So the morning you wake up, you won't have all those congestions and tightness in you. Simple things, but I cannot tell you how many people is like using it and they have all the pain went away.
That's amazing. I mean, we have so many repetitive actions now, right? That are unnatural.
Right. And there is a law of repetition. What we do the most, that's what we develop as a habit. And habit can save you or kill you. So we have so many problems because our habits are not being addressed.
Well, I love all your homegrown remedies and suggestions, which I have many of in my home. And tell us about why you're wearing this beautiful scarf, even though I know you always wear them.
Well, because it's freezing in this studio, but other than that, people have on the mornings lots of tension. They go to the bed with tension, so you wake up with the tension. You sit in a car with tension. You go to the computer and typing with tension. A boss is looking at you. So there is a lot of things. So at night you go in because you are just absolutely stressed out. So I tell to people, have a nice pretty scarf and put it around so it's like a collar. So when you're sleeping at night, you are not going to squeeze your muscles and your nerves at your neck.
Brilliant.
Which is very simple. Awesome. And I, as a gymnast, of course, I have some issues with my neck too. So I learned that on my life. If I wear a scarf when I have lots of things to deal with, in the morning I just wake up and I feel different. Those pillows are good what they're selling, but you lose it. You don't really attach to the body, so you kind of tossing around.
So would this be the scarf without a pillow?
No, you're sleeping on a regular pillow with it. But also just because if we are here self-help, see these little roll towels? Let's see you working at the computer and you have lots of shoulder and neck problems.
Oh.
I tell people just put 2 roll towels under your armpit, and then you put your hands on the desk, and that's how you're typing. So otherwise what happens, the gravity pulls out your arm from the socket, so every tendon, every ligament, every nerve is stretched, pulled out. And that kind of trains you how to hold it. And it's amazing how little gadgets can do so much for you. We just don't think about that. We always try to think about the expensive stuff.
That's brilliant. But when you go into a workplace or and you're helping people who are having problems in the workplace, what kind of tips do you give to them? Similar, or do you have something different?
Well, when I go to a workplace, I have a couple of things to do. First, I have to assess the group and see what kind of situation they deal with. I like to have a conversation with them and listen to them, because it doesn't matter what I think is right. They have to be ready for that. So I see where they are at, what the most common problems. And then I have one general lecture which everybody gets, because we all share the same bodies. We have bones, muscles, nerves. We all built the same way, but we look different. Our personalities, the way how we think about ourselves, the way how we communicate to one another. So but to a point, your bones, your muscles, your nervous system, your organs have to be in place. And this is a house. This is a system. You cannot really cheat with it, because then you don't know, you start to compensate. The human body is very smart, much smarter than we think it is. So we fake it. Even I see that with dancers who you would think they know their bodies, but they're very nice on the stage and they're coming out and they're sagging back to the same old habits. So when I go to these companies, employees, once when I assess the problem, then I give them ideas, which is sometimes just put a ball under your foot while you're typing and just roll your foot on it. It's going to start to activate your nerves and communicate to your brain. So you keep your focus, your attention on a level you like to have. For example, you have to make sure your butt is higher than your knee when you're sitting on a chair, because that lifts up your lower back. So automatically the rest of the body is just going, as I used to say, home. So little tricks which you can do. You don't have to take out time from your work. You don't have to practice a lot. And that slowly is going to develop a new relationship with your body. And
how should you adjust your computer screen so that you're not, looking up or looking down? Should you be like looking straight, like even with your forehead? How do you?
It's about eye level.
Eye level.
But see, that's another thing. Companies mainly have wonderful system already. They have the ergonomic thing figured out. The ergonomic people coming in. They have gyms. They have yoga. They have all kinds of stuff. But we have to realize that people landing in their own bodies. So it doesn't matter how expensive the chair, how expensive the shoe, you have to be able to own your own body and use it as it's meant to be. So sitting at the computer, I personally like where your arm is about, level with your hands. So the elbow is level with your hands and resting on the table, and don't hanging down. Some people have the keyboard down here. And eye level, definitely eye level. Now, I don't think anybody's body was made for 8 hours sitting straight at the computer, regardless how wonderful your equipment
So
are.
how often should we get up?
I think you should at least move your body on the chair. Make sure you're sitting with both hips evenly weighted. And every half an hour, every 45 minutes, get up, or if you cannot get up, at least stretch back a little bit on your chair, do a couple of rotations. If nothing else, just move your arm, your shoulder a little bit. So you have to kind of balancing the activity what you do all day long. So you sitting all day long in this flexion position, obviously your body wants to go extension. You have to make sure you're breathing in your back because your front is constantly restricted.
Yeah, what about breathing?
The breathing,
Keep breathing.
well, the breathing is a tricky thing because most people, when I asking them, what do you think what is correct breathing? They would say, I breathe in my diaphragm, I breathe in here. Well, those are exercises for your body, but when you're standing at Trader Joe's, you should really keep the front closed, so you're keeping a certain muscle tone, because when you're bringing your rib cage down, exhaling, that sets up a muscle tone, and try to breathe between your shoulder blade. So in other words, close the front door and try to open the back. Because those muscles on the back, if you don't breathe to the back, if you're not expanding the back, then your back muscles are going to be very rigid, and that's where your back pain starts.
Is it that feeling of taking in a breath and feeling our back slightly expanding like
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you can instantly release some of your tension in your lower back. Just knowing that, I cannot tell you how much people have been helped by just that little tip to breathe to the back. You can do your exercises in the chair. You can work with your Kegel muscles. You can squeeze your tushy.
Or you told me to do it when you're doing the dishes.
You're doing
or
your
in the
dishes.
shower.
You're chopping your vegetable. Make
Right.
sure your body
be
weight
aware.
is 2/3 on the front of your foot because the body is heavier on the front. So you have to place your weight according to that. And then the entire body is just automatically goes home. You know,
we
if
all
we
want to go home.
shifting our body, right? And if you keep traveling in space and you don't have a secure place, then you never rest.
Now I'm going to look at the line at Trader Joe's because I know I
Watching
do
how
it
other
too. It's like
people
we
do
all
it.
probably slip into our really normal
Right.
but tension-filled.
Yeah, let me get out of here.
Well, but our, it's like a lot of times you're standing in line and you're kind of in your worst possible position, right?
Right. So listen, when you go shopping, when are you go shopping? End of the day. You already worked very hard. You're already exhausted. You're thinking you have to feed your family at home. You don't even know what you want. You just kind of try to find something quickly. So you are in your head. You have to go back to your body. So standing in the line, just check in with yourself. Just think about, where is my body weight? 2/3 on the front, 1/3 on the back. What is my knee doing? Am I tight or relaxed? Where is my pelvis? Is it tipped forwards or backwards or centered? Where am I breathing? Where is my arm? How am I holding that weight, what I have to carry? And just doing this, it is like reminding your body, your subconscious mind, there is somebody is at home, somebody is in charge, somebody is in control. So not gravity is in charge, but you are in charge.
I like that. So being at home in your body, right?
Being at home in your body. And then what happens if you practice this, time goes faster, so you're not going to have anxieties in the line if you have to wait a little bit. Because right now I'm giving a gift for myself.
It's an opportunity.
And you're already home.
Yeah.
I like that.
Your mind is going to be much more clear because your nervous system is more in place, so you're not going to be so exhausted.
Ava, tell people, aside from booking you as a speaker through speakerservices.com, I know you teach classes at UCLA, right?
Well, I work,
I'm
one of the presenter of the UCLA Arts and Healing,
right?
And lots of UCLA groups inviting me. I did some work with the extension, and actually it's coming up, the UCLA Wellness Conference, which is like every year they're inviting me back. So that's what I'm talking about there. And I do individual training, I go to groups, I go to conferences.
And what's your website? Because we're going to break here.
Yeah.
So
It's
get that in.
Ava Movement, EVAmovement.com. Go on my website, and it's maybe not everything is there, but call me and I give you my best.
And she
Can't
will, I
beat that.
promise you. She will.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you very much.
So coming up, we have Marianne, Emma, Jeff, and she's going to be with us after the break. So stick around, especially if you are a woman going into business. Marianne has the Women's Business Momentum Center, and she can teach you all kinds of things about how to start your business and keep it on track. So you're listening to Talk Up Your Biz. This is LA Talk Live, where we're more than just talk.
I'm taking a stand and making a difference. Ready to change the world that I see. 'Cause I have a dream. True love is evergreen. I know it's not too late. Gonna grow some love today. Planting a seed to build a world closer to heaven. Planting a seed in my soul. Yeah, I'm watching it grow. If you believe.
Hey, shout us out. What's the count? I'm your host, Ferran Dozier. I'm inviting you to join me on WDC Radio every Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time as we discuss community topics around health, sports, and entertainment. So don't forget to shout us out. What's the count? On WDC Radio, only on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we're more than just talk. What's the count?
Yeah, it's your boy DJ D, inviting you to join me every Monday night at 8 p.m. for our new show, Keeping It Real with the Cousins, exclusively on LA Talk Live, Monday nights at 8. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio or watch us on Ustream TV Monday nights at 8. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Today is my day, a brand new beginning. The future will blossom magnificent.
Welcome back to Talk Up Your Biz. I'm Jean-Noel Bassior, and with my co-host,
Susan Levin.
and we are joined today by Marianne Emma Jeff, and she is a business coach, author, speaker, and founder of the Women's Business Momentum Center. I love that word momentum in
Yes,
the title.
yes.
That's the key word, right?
It is, and it took a lot of getting to that point.
Did you to think of that? So, and I want you to talk about momentum, but also what I love is you talk about doing less and achieving more. And how do those two things kind of fit together?
I know. It seems like such a contradiction, doesn't it?
Well, I sense that there is a way they fit together,
Yes.
right?
Yes, there is. And the way that I found that is that I've always been one of those people that I can do everything and doing a lot. And people would always tell me, you're doing too much, you're doing too much. But when people are telling you you're doing too much, you don't really take it in until you really see that you're doing too much.
Because it's your natural state, right?
It is. And you think, yeah, I know I'm doing a lot, but I can get it all done.
Yeah.
And then there was an aha moment when I was actually working with a coach when I was first starting my training, and she was telling me you're doing too much. And there was a moment when it solidified for me. And I realized I am doing too much. But I needed to hear it, not just hear it from other people telling me.
Yeah.
She was another person that was raising my awareness.
Yeah.
And what I realized was I was treating life like a checklist and trying to do too much. So it was a really big aha moment for me. And then after that, I began to get really curious about how can we do less and achieve more.
It's not always about action, is it?
No, it's not. It's about the quality of the action. But it's also about how can I help people raise that awareness that they're doing too much of the busy stuff.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the tools that I've created are around raising the awareness awareness so that we can have our own aha moments instead of just ignoring the people telling us you're doing too much. Because me telling you that you're doing too much, I don't know what's too much for you.
And I also know I'm doing too much, but I'm going to keep on doing it because,
Me too.
Yeah, you too. You're
the queen of too much.
Yeah, she's the queen.
We're busy women these days, and so there's so much on our plate. Life requires a lot of action. So do it. First of all, it's a question of raising your awareness, so you get a sense of where your zone is. And there's a lot of tools I have to help you with that. But then also to begin to look at prioritizing, and I know that word's used so much, but drilling down to the 20%, the actions that will really give you the most effective and efficient for you, that are really going to make the most difference.
Is that kind of the 20-80 thing?
Yes.
20%. Why don't you define it?
Basically, what it says is that if you've got a list of 10 things to do, 2 of them are really going to be the ones that are really going to make any difference at all, and they're going to give you 80% of the results from the two things. So by doing that 20%, you're going to get 80% of the results. And you can think of it like it's a universal truth. So if you think of a carpet, it's the area of carpet that's used, 20% of it is used 80% of the time.
That's true.
It's true of anything. It's pretty mind-blowing. I read a book on it. It was a little bit dry, but I gleaned out the gems.
And there's also a great book called Do Less, Achieve More. You've probably seen it.
I haven't seen that one.
You've heard about
I'll
it, right?
have to. Who's the author of that one?
I'm blanking on the author.
I'll get it from you
yes.
afterwards. Definitely.
If Donna was here, she'd look it up.
Yeah.
That's right. Tell us right away. Hey, Donna. Yeah.
So
I know that you're speaking a lot, about a lot of different things through speaker services.
Yes.
And one of the
great
talks.
resource. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Please. It took a while for you to get through a lot of things, and then you finally
got with us.
It took me a while
you were on the radar for a while, but I was really focusing on building my business, and now I'm ready to really put myself out there as a speaker, and I've gotten things to a point where I'm ready for that. And so you guys have been such a help. It's been phenomenal.
Oh, thank you. Bless
Writing
you.
the content and my listing. Yeah, really big thank you for that.
I'm glad it worked out.
Really heard what I wanted to say and what I'm about, and really helped me put it into some compelling language.
Well,
thank you.
That's good.
So I know one of the talks that you offer is 8 building blocks of business.
Yes.
And how to tap into all your resources and build a solid foundation for success. Can you give us a couple of those blocks?
I can. What I do is when someone says, well, I want to build my business, when we have something that's so big, it can be a little bit intangible. So I break down the business into 8 pieces that are really the key elements of your business. One of them is well-being. So Ava, the last guest, was talking about something that's very important for your business as well. Well-being is really key. Another one of them is vision. Yes. Having a sense, and I have a success equation that I use all the time with clients and speaking, and it's clear vision plus action, consistent action, not just any action, consistent action, plus passion equals success. And so that vision component is one of the 8 building blocks, because you have to have a sense of where you're going. It doesn't matter whether you're building your Facebook fan page or you're creating a signature speech. You need to have a sense of why you're doing it, and how it fits in, what the vision is of that piece, that visibility tool with the rest of your business.
And I remember when you took my class, Market Yourself as a Speaker, and we do it over the telephone.
It was great.
And thank you. You were mind mapping it. You were telling
me.
Yes. And nobody that I know took notes the way that you took it. And I guess you have it on a big map.
You know what? It sounds big, but it's actually about
it's
about
not
11 by 17. But you can do a mind
big.
map any size.
Yes.
And the thing is that our mind thinks it remembers things in pictures. We remember pictures much, much more than we do words.
That's why stories are good.
That's why stories are so great, and you're speaking and you're presenting. Right. And so when I'm listening to something, I like to gather the information in a mind map, which is basically you draw a circle with the central theme in the middle, and then you sprout off from that different. I'm trying to think if I have one in the book.
Hold up your book and show it too.
Well, my book is Discovering Your Intentional Life.
He's
exceptional.
saying hold it up higher. Listen to the engineer.
I'll hold the book up while you look for the mind map.
Because I'm always trying
it
to
here so everybody sees it.
see if we've got a mind map in here. We might not have one in this book.
While
I'm
you're
sure.
looking, one of the things that I also noticed you talk about is what you call your next action steps.
Yes.
And I know that it's good to break things down into a next step. And I have like all these good intentions of doing it, but sometimes I get lost. Like, is there a way to stay on track with that so that you really are doing
Good
something
question.
little every
Well,
day?
the key to it is knowing your next action step, not every action step, because I think we can get lost when we come up with a long list of action steps,
True,
and we
yeah.
can get overwhelmed very quickly.
So I just need to know the next one,
You
right?
only need to know the next one. And if you're not taking action, it's probably because you're thinking too big. Now, one of my mantras is think big, start small, and stay consistent. So I'm all about big thinking, but when it comes to momentum, it's about starting small and thinking a little bit smaller. Because if I have a list of things to do, and if I notice I'm not taking action on one of them, I can probably go back to that list and see that it's because my action step's too big. For example, if I have an action step to write a chapter of a book, it's too big. But if I have an action step which is to write a page on momentum and next action steps, I have a place to begin. So what happens then is we actually start getting into momentum and taking action before we take action. So it comes much easier.
Right.
Rather than having just a long to-do list.
Now, do I have to break a project down into action steps and then determine what my next one is? Or could I just go like one step at a time? Like I did this and then like your mind map, then where's that going to take me next? Or is it better to have the overview, like have a bunch of steps kind of mapped out?
Well, I think you need the vision. Think of yourself if you were on a boat. You would need to know where you were going.
True.
So you need the vision.
The larger picture.
You need the larger picture, and it's important. It's kind of like you've got beads on a necklace. So you have all the pieces. You have the longer vision, which is over here, this bead. But then you've got all of the pieces to keep in mind to get you to that, as you're saying.
True,
but
yeah.
you don't need to know every single bead, because oftentimes if we just focus on the next action step, the universe has got a much better plan.
Yeah.
And if we've got our eyes open, we're going to be pleasantly surprised by the possibilities.
Yes, I
So
agree.
it's just a matter of knowing the next action, tiny action. An example I use is if you were making a cup of tea, if that was a project, then the next action step would be literally to find the kettle. I want you to break it down that small.
Yeah, actually, I remember interviewing Fergie about making tea, and she had it all broken down. She carried her tea set with her, and she had it all broken down into those really small steps because it was rather calming for her.
Oh,
she
my
took it with her when
goodness.
she traveled and everything.
How funny! And I use that example all the time. It must be that Britishness coming through.
Yeah, I have a lot of British friends.
I really think that you walk your talk.
Thank you.
I know you walk your talk because the way you're sharing with us is fantastic. And this is what we try to teach people too, and in ourselves, how to break it down into small pieces, because people get overwhelmed with all the information, and then they freak out that they can't do it.
I think a big part of that too is, though, we feel the need to be doing everything. A lot of the women that come to me feel like they want, I need my Facebook business page, I need my business cards, I need a brochure, I want to write a book, I want to be a speaker. It's too many balls in the air. So what I encourage women to do is we create a one-page strategic plan. It gives you the vision piece, the longer vision, and then we break it down into, a 90-day plan based on that bigger strategic plan. And what are the 3 things that we want to do first? It doesn't mean you put the other things on the back burner. And it took me a long time to be able to do this, because you want to do everything, especially when you can.
Right.
And so just picking out 3 things to focus on. I love the number 3. And then just coming up with the next action steps for each of those 3 things is really, really helpful.
Yeah.
And also another thing you do is you make women comfortable with technology, right?
Yes.
And what really kind of lit up for me was you talk about finding your inner geek, making friends. How should we go about doing that?
Well, I just love technology so much.
Yeah,
and I think the women that come to me are most of them are afraid of it. They feel like they're behind. And so
and they are.
Well, they are,
sometimes.
but we all are. I don't care how
Yeah.
much you know about technology.
Right. It's- yeah, you can't keep
Everybody's
up with it.
behind. So
Right.
just going, it's okay to accepting that it's
Right.
okay to be behind,
Mm.
and that things are always going to be happening, and to just be in the present moment with it, and to conquer and learn a few pieces. Because if you learn some of the fundamentals and ignite that geekness in yourself, then a lot of it kind of repeats itself. The other things will be a lot easier, and that confidence will show through. And it's amazing how many women you get them the inner geekness ignited, and their confidence as a business person speaking about their business, it skyrockets as well.
Yeah, and it's part of it's making time to learn new stuff, right? How do you go about doing any tips?
You know, Barbara Stanny has a great book called Overcoming Under-Earning.
Ah.
And in it, she has a learning curve. And I think this is such a powerful visual. It talks about, see if I can get it right. We start in unconscious incompetence. We don't know how to do it, but we don't know what it is anyways, doesn't matter. Then we move into the next stage.
Kind of like a conscious incompetence?
Conscious incompetence, thank you. And that just feels awful. We're in the mire. But if we look at the vision part and we see that the next piece that we're going to move into conscious, I've got my...
So kind of moving towards awareness.
Moving towards awareness, that
Yeah.
we see what the next level is, that we're going to get to that point. When we see that it's part of the process, I think that's the big thing. Knowing that just because we're feeling incompetent, we're not alone, that everybody feels like that. Even I have days when I just want to like pound on the computer keyboard. We all have that. In fact, I broke the keyboard.
I think it's going on here at the studio also. They have challenges. And, you know, we've been going through something like that too. And everyone, it's a technology challenge. And we had the vision and we talked about it. But we didn't write it down, but we both knew it. And then we get freaked out. It's like, oh, we don't know how to do it. We need to get the help. Although, you know, we go back and forth. And then one of us says, remember the vision? You know, remember what we planned?
Yes.
We talked
Yeah.
about.
We want to
have
learn how to do this because we have
Right.
a goal in mind that we want to.
Right, but
you
we
know.
forget.
Yeah.
And we've even put, you know, packages together. And we go like, wait a minute, we've already done this, but it was so long ago, you know, maybe like 3 months ago or something, that we forget that we've done it because I already think we're there. You know, I think we're there and there's one piece missing. You know, because we had it all planned out, and sometimes we have to make some changes. But
Well,
it's
that's the
okay.
universe stepping in and being
Right.
aware of that. The other thing that you just reminded me of too, that's so important, is the why. And I know one of the episodes I was watching that you had done, there was a lady talking about the high heels lady.
Oh, Carrie Flintoff.
Yes, I was so excited to hear her talking about the why. And the why is so critical because it's what drives you, it's what motivates you, it helps you with your momentum. So that's part of that vision component as well. Remembering why you're doing something and having it worded in such a way that you know why you're in business, you know why you're doing what you're doing, and reminding yourself of that vision and of your why. To really help you drive forward makes a big difference.
Yeah, it's a wonderful reminder. And I wanted to ask you about your radio show. It's on Mondays.
Yes.
And how can people hear that?
I have 2 radio shows. Yeah, I've got the Monday Momentum is a radio show every Monday at 7 a.m. and you can
7 a.m.
7 a.m.
Okay,
and
drive
it's
time.
replayed, you know, 24/7. So you can go to the website womensbusinessmomentum.com and you click on workshops and events and you'll see it, or you can go to mywbmc.com and click on Monday Momentum. And that show is going to help you with the weekly element, set up each week to make your best week yet, one week after another. The other show I have is the Marketing Success Show, and that's on Tuesdays at 8:30. Same thing, you can go to mywbmc.com and click on Marketing Show and find out about that too. And I have like 5,000 listeners. It's going
that's
really
incredible.
well.
Is
Yeah.
it a Blog Talk Radio?
Yes, it's on Blog
Okay.
Talk Radio.
Right. And the other question is, can people just come to your center, or do they can they drop in, or is it all by invitation?
It's
to call you?
reservations are required for the classes because I want to make sure I know who's showing
Of
up.
course.
Yes. And there's online classes and there's also classes in person.
Say the website again.
It's womensbusinessmomentum.com.
Okay, and we've been talking to Marianne, Emma, Jeff, And you can find her on her website or on Speaker Services
Yes,
website
with my lovely
if you'd
listing.
like to book her as a speaker. We've gotten so many interesting tips today in
Yeah.
the show. This
Yeah,
is
we
really
have.
incredible. And it's what's interesting to me is that we always learn from our speakers and our authors. And sometimes we need the coaching too and the reminders. So thank you very
Well,
much.
I learn from my clients too.
Yeah, we're going to
Yeah.
do less and achieve more.
Yeah.
That's right. Let's see how we
20%.
do it. We're going to report back in.
Yeah.
And we're going to do movement. And we're going to be educated by the movement educator motivator
Right.
who's sitting in the room. Well, it looks like we're coming to the end of this show. I hear the music. And is it me who's taking us
You're
out?
going to thank our guests?
Yes, so I want to thank Ava Nemeth for being on the show today and Marianne Emma Jeff.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure to have you. And next week at 5 p.m. Pacific, on Talk Up Your Biz, we have Deborah Dearest, who's been one of our speakers for quite a long time, and she's a Latino brand ambassador, the messenger for corporations to get their product or service out to trillion-dollar Hispanic markets.
And we'll also have Gina Cloud, and she is an inspirational speaker and a natural beauty expert who offers new ways to define being a woman so you can radiate what she calls soul deep beauty and reclaim your inner power. Sounds good.
Two powerful ladies.
Yeah.
Wow. So we'll be talking to you again next week, which is the 13th, I believe, the 10th of June. And make sure you stay tuned. In the next half hour, we'll be on the Book Beat with Jean-Noel, your host extraordinaire. And we have some very powerful guests. Dan Janelle, let me see if I can remember, Carol Osborne, and Julie Simon.
Good.
So thank you for listening to Talk Up Your Biz. And we're on latalklive.com.